folks, and welcome to the Average Joe Sports Talk Show. I'm your host, Jay Real, bringing you a Tuesday edition of the show. We hope you all had a great weekend, and boy, do we got a lot to cover. Now, moving on first, we are going to make a focus of this show, and we're really excited about it because it's the UFC. UFC just went down over the weekend. George St Pierre went up against a bruiser, a heavy-handed in Hendricks, okay? This guy is a beast. He's like a little pit bull. He has stamina and the power. This is what we have to say about the fight after checking it out. Now, George St Pierre is one of the best, if not the best champion in the UFC, bar none. The guy he's well-rounded. He can strike, he can grapple, and he can submit. He has phenomenal stamina. He's just, again, all around a true champion. And we can't say enough about George St Pierre. Now, that being said, and to be fair and honest to George, I'm not going to sit here and just kiss his butt through the whole show or this whole segment. The last couple of fights before he got to Hendricks, it seemed as though there was something not quite right with George St Pierre. Since coming back from his injury, where he had to take a layoff, then come back and fight for his title to unify it and to make, to get that against Carlos Condon, you just saw that, they went the distance. And yes, George St Pierre looked really good. He had the stamina. But there was just he didn't have that killer instinct in him. He didn't have that, the eye of the tiger, I guess you could say, where he wants to rip someone's head off. And I've noticed that over the last couple of fights. Now moving forward, he goes into the fight with the Diaz brother. And again, he talked the talk. He wanted to hurt this guy. I guarantee you, when he said he wanted to beat him down, he wants to hurt him, he did, but he couldn't do it. And that just is something that's kind of, here at the Average Joe Sports Talk Show, something that we really worry about, because that's George St Pierre's trait, to go in there like he did against Matt Serra and Matt Hughes and just beat these guys down, take their will from them, and then hurt them. It has not happened. Then he goes into this fight over the weekend with Hendricks, and I said it before, I told anyone and everyone that would listen to me, this was going to be a very difficult fight for George St Pierre. Why? Because he's meeting a guy that's hungry, a guy that really looks like he has the eye of the tiger, and that he wants what George St Pierre has. Now, when you're the champion for, gosh, how long? 8, 9 years? George St Pierre has been the champion quality fighter almost his whole UFC career. You cannot tell me that you don't lose that hunger, that desire, that goal to be the best when you just are constantly being the best. And the problem with that is when you face a hungry young guy, as in Hendricks, you're going to fight someone that's going to want to kill you. And that's what happened. Hendricks went in there with heavy hands. Now, I am sick and tired already of hearing everyone bitch and complain that Hendricks got ripped off. Really? Was Hendricks the champion? Has Hendricks been the champion for almost a decade? Give me a freaking break. If you want to be the man, you got to beat the man. Now, many say, well, he did beat him. Really? He went 5 rounds. George St Pierre at no time was kissing the canvas, snoring, counting his Z's. He fought through the whole fight. And in that situation, and in that circumstance, as a judge, I would even favor George St Pierre more, because he fought through that adversity. He fought through those big, heavy blows of a competitor like Hendricks, but not the champion. He is the contender trying to take the championship. So I have no problem. I have no problem whatsoever George St Pierre getting the split decision in that fight. George St Pierre took his best blows, and as a champion that he is, he still went the 5 rounds. He still competed, and he still fought through being almost knocked out a couple of times seriously in the fight. As a matter of fact, he goes on record saying that he can't remember some of the fight. He can't remember some of the end of the rounds. He was hurt. He was dazed, and he probably has some serious concussion-like symptoms from those big blows, but the champion fought through it. That's why I have no problem him getting a split decision. If Hendricks wants to get the belt from George St Pierre, he has to do like Weidman did. You leave no doubt. You don't leave it up to the judges. You go in there and knock somebody out. That's what Weidman did to Silva. Hendricks, I'm sorry, you needed to do the same thing, and you couldn't do it. So you don't deserve to be the champion. That's just the way we feel about it. George St Pierre lived through, made it through the 5 rounds, showing the heart of a champion. Fought a competitive fight. Yes, Hendricks made his face look like a mess. Made it look like he had been hit by a truck. But guess what, folks? That doesn't mean that you win a fight. If you get 4 or 5 super heavy blows to someone's face and you pummel their face and make it look like they've been in a fight, that's fine. But if the other person has 20 punches that weren't as heavy and a couple of takedowns, guess what? You have more points that the judges can give you the win. So don't give me this crap that he didn't do anything to win the fight. He's the champ. He's been the champ until someone knocks him out or submits him or leaves him laying flat on the ground and you have to bring a stretcher out to haul him off. He should always be the champion. Now, with that said, we want to call one of our experts, Shannon. She's our UFC pro, our UFC info guru. We're going to take a quick cutaway. When we get back, hopefully we'll have Shannon on the line with us and get her take, her cut on the fights, because she too had watched them. And we'll see what's going on, and we can get into some arguments with our UFC experts. So don't go anywhere. Jay Real will be right back with the Average Joe Sports Talk Show. All right, we're back from the break, and we have with us on the line our UFC expert, Shannon. What's up, girl? How you doing?
I'll tell you what's going on.
We are talking UFC, and we wanted to bug you a little bit and get in an argument with you.
All right.
So I got a chance to catch the fight, and I have to say it wasn't as bad as I thought. I mean, yes, you're right. You could easily say that Hendricks won the fight, but you're right. He did not totally leave this guy like flat out in the ring, and they had to haul him off on a stretcher. He fought through the 5 rounds.
Yes, he did. And like I said, they're not, unless the opponent, you know, when you're fighting a champion, unless that opponent, you know, does massive damage, like a knockout or a submission or, you know, a referee stoppage because of punches or something like that, the judges are not going to just give up that belt easily, especially with the fact that George St Pierre has been the reigning champion for how many years now? Long time.
Yeah, very long time. Yeah, okay, so we were watching the fight, and it was in the 2nd round that he landed some heavy, heavy blows to George St Pierre. And yeah, he looked like he was out on his feet. This is something I was going to bring to you because I was talking with some friends from Phoenix, and they actually had a good point, saying that the refs or the judges could even possibly give more points to George St Pierre because he was able to come back from that stuff.
Yeah, I said that too, because in the 2nd round, Hendricks did rock him massively. You can see where George St Pierre's, you know, legs basically turn into rubber, and they stay that way through much part of the 2nd round. But by the 3rd round, he recovers, and he controls the 3rd round. He had quite a few takedowns, and like I'm trying to explain is that the judges don't determine the fight based on the damage, because if they did, George St Pierre would have lost.
Right.
Was not stopped.
His face was jacked, yeah.
They determined the fight based on the strikes landed, which George St Pierre had more than that, more than Hendricks. They determined the fight on the control of the fight, and George St Pierre did control most of the fight, even through the 5 rounds. And he had more takedowns than Hendricks, you know what I mean? And
right.
Like I said, I'm not a judge, so it's really hard for me to say,
sure,
you know, how I would have judged the fight. But again, GSP is the reigning champion, and he's had that belt a lot of years. And since Hendricks didn't do massive, I don't want to say damage, but he didn't do anything massive, like a knockout or a submission.
Yeah.
And that's what you got to do when you're fighting a champion that's had that belt for, 5-6 years. You have to have that knockout, or you have to have that submission. If you let it go to decision, anything can freaking happen. You know what I mean?
Right. No, and I agree. Now this is my thought on the whole thing. I thought all along that this fight was not good for George St Pierre because his style, Hendricks, is totally goes against George St Pierre. What I mean by that is Hendricks is a brawler. He just wants to go in there, hit you with these heavy punches and knock you out. George St Pierre, he will stand up and fight, and I thought he did it too much with Hendricks. I thought he was trying to, stay in there and go toe-to-toe when I'm like, he should have been more like Royce Gracie, where you get these brawlers down and you submit them.
Yeah, I agree. George St Pierre is more of a type of technical fighter.
Exactly, yes.
And Hendricks is just like a freaking freight train, and he just wants to run through you. You know what I mean?
No, exactly.
And you can't stand with a fighter like that. And the fact that George St Pierre did stand, and he did recover after that 3rd round, I think after the 2nd round, I think that stood that weighed heavy on the judges, in my opinion.
Exactly. No, I totally agree, because you cannot just say, oh, okay, because Hendricks landed 30 heavy, powerful shots, those go over George St Pierre's, less powerful but double the hits.
Yeah, because by the end of the fight, they had actually showed how many strikes George St Pierre landed, and he landed like over 100 punches and 100 strikes, and Hendricks had maybe 60, and that weighs heavy on the judges.
Right,
Not only
right.
that, but George St Pierre had more takedowns.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I think he only had like 1 or 2 more takedowns, but it was enough. And basically, the 5th round was up for grabs, and according to the post show that I watched, the 5th round was pretty much up for grabs. And since Hendricks didn't do something massive in that 5th round,
they gave it to George.
He basically lost the fight because of that.
Right. Now, hey, I got to go deep with you on this, okay? Check this out. I've been listening to all of the interviews with Dana White, and I have to say I'm kind of disgusted with his comments, because he is the owner, the president, the CEO, whatever you want to call this guy, of the UFC, and to me, he's kind of throwing George St Pierre out to the wolves. His comments are going on like, this is the most disgusting display of judging he ever saw, that the Hendricks got completely screwed, that he got completely jobbed. George St Pierre doesn't deserve to be the champion right now. And to me, that's like, is that the job of a CEO of a company okay?
No, I agree with you on that too. Like I said, I did watch the post-fight show, which I normally don't do, but there was so much controversy over this main event that I went on and I watched the post-fight show.
Right.
And I think that if they would have fought somewhere else besides in Nevada, George St Pierre probably wouldn't have won that fight. And the reason I say that is because the Athletics Commission in Nevada is freaking corrupt.
Right, because of all the betting.
Because of all the betting.
Right.
And George St Pierre was the favorite. And there were several other fights throughout the night where the favorite lost, like the Josh Koscheck fight. He was the favorite. But he got his ass knocked out cold, dude. He was out. It looked like he'd been hit with a lunchbox in his face. And you can't give the fight to the favorite when he ends up knocked out like that.
Right. No.
But if it would have went to decision, with all that said, if that fight would have went to decision, and Josh Koscheck and that fight would have went to decision, since he was the favorite, because of all the betting in Vegas, the athletics commission is very corrupt there, and it's all about the gambling and shit. So, at the end of the day, I think Dana White, yes, I think he's throwing George St Pierre under the bus. Don't misunderstand me. But in all reality, if they would have fought somewhere else, George St Pierre probably would not have won that fight.
Right,
and I think that's where Dana White's frustration comes in, is because everything is so corrupt in Nevada right now because of the gambling, especially when it comes to sports, because of the gambling. You know what I mean?
Yeah, sure. But let me ask you this, which, I mean, you're kind of already answering the question, but if you were the president of the UFC, would you not have more been like, okay, on the interview, I did not see the fight go the way that the judges did, but hey, you win some, you lose some. I'm sure he'll get another opportunity. George St Pierre is our champion. He got a close call here. Again, I didn't see it this way, but I stand by our champion. Instead, he's...
I mean, absolutely. No, I think the way that Dana White has gone about basically throwing the champion under the bus the way that he did, I definitely think that Dana White's 110% in the wrong about that.
No, and that's the reason why so many fighters that make it to the big times, and then they say this guy's a complete dick, because he's, I mean, you just see his personality. I mean, this guy, George St Pierre, has been his champion so long, and it's almost like he is wanting to will this guy to look bad after this fight, even more than what he did when most people think he lost the fight.
Well, and the fact of the matter is that George St Pierre has fair and squarely lost that bout before. And he fair and squarely went back for a rematch and won that belt back.
Sure.
And so, in all due respect, George St Pierre, yeah, he got his ass kicked from, if you judge from the damage to his face,
right.
Yeah, he got his ass kicked. But we're not the judges. We don't.
Exactly.
You know, just like Joe Rogan said, he couldn't believe it either. He said, but I'm here to walk you through the fight. I do the commentary through the fight. He said, I'm not judging the fight. He said, so maybe the judges saw something that everybody else didn't see.
No, exactly.
You know what I mean?
No, and that's the point. It looks like, excuse me, I don't know if you're like I am. When you see a big heavy shot get landed to someone's face, you're like, oh, snap. That dude just got lit up. But you didn't see the 5 or 6 little jabs, you know, that happened before that.
Exactly. That's just it. You know what I mean? And I've been saying from, even while we were sitting there waiting for the decision that night, I had said to the people sitting in my house, it looks like George St Pierre got his ass kicked. I said, but everybody has to realize that George St Pierre's had this, and since Hendricks didn't do something outrageous, he did rock him in the second round. But
right.
Yeah, he rocked him in the second round, but George St Pierre stopped after that.
No, and I totally agree. I mean, you're talking about a guy that came back from a severe beatdown. I mean, he's just the ultimate champion to me. But real quick, before I got to let you go, I'm real disgusted with Dana White and his attitude towards this thing. Let me ask you this. If you were George St Pierre, wouldn't you kind of tell Dana White to go stick it?
Yeah, I mean, I really would, and Dana White also made another comment. You know, George St Pierre is a really stand-up guy, and this is his words verbatim in that post-fight show, was that George St Pierre will not retire without giving Johnny Hendricks a rematch.
Right, and this is the problem I have with that, Shannon, is like, Dana White, to me, has totally slapped St. Pierre in the face with the way his attitude has been this last few days. And now he's almost like saying, I'm not going to let you walk away from this.
Anyways, let me just finish up real fast.
Okay, go ahead.
If I was George St. Pierre, just because Dana White has had this shitty attitude that he's had, and he's made this comment that George St. Pierre will not retire without a rematch, if I was George St. Pierre, my attitude would be like, watch me retire without a rematch.
Exactly, because I've always been a Dana White supporter. I've liked the guy. He seems like he doesn't pull any punches. He'll tell you what he wants to say, and that's fine. I like that about somebody. But when his comments came out, it was almost like he had Hendricks pom-poms in his hands, and he was like, you know, kissing this guy's butt and making George St Pierre.
Well, he made all these comments without any respect to the fact of how much money George St Pierre has made that man.
Oh, I know. Yeah, exactly. So I agree with you. I don't think George St Pierre should fight again. There's something not right with him. There's something not right with him. I've seen it for the last few fights, and I think Hendricks will knock him out next time. I honestly do.
I do too, and I don't think, with all due respect, and again, this goes based on one of the comments that Johnny Hendricks made in his post-fight interview. And basically someone had asked him about how he felt about the rematch, and that George St Pierre said he needed to hang up his gloves for a little bit. Johnny Hendricks' answer was, I don't give a shit about George St Pierre. I want that belt and I want a rematch. And to me, that is not the sportsmanlike conduct that we all have got used to seeing in the UFC.
Yeah, it's, you know what, this whole deal, I mean, gosh, if I was George St Pierre, I'd say, you know what, screw Hendricks, screw Dana White. I'm sure George St Pierre has tons of money, and he doesn't have to prove anything anymore. I think he's beat everybody.
Here's another point that I want to make. Here's another point
Go ahead,
I want to make.
Go ahead.
That George St Pierre and Johnny Hendricks received Fight of the Night for that fight. Because they received the Fight of the Night, they both got an extra $50,000 for getting Fight of the Night.
Right.
Cerrone got Submission of the Night. He also got another $50,000.
Right.
And Woodley got Knockout of the Night, another $50,000. If anybody can add, how many times did I just say $50,000?
Exactly.
Dana White didn't just make that money on his own. He made that money because of those fighters. So let's get real here.
Exactly. No, and I agree.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I agree with you, sweetie, man. I appreciate you coming on. Now, before you go, you're going to have to come back on because you know who fights next month.
Absolutely. Anderson Silva and Weidman are up for that rematch, and Ronda Rousey and Misha Tate are going to just be the co-main event that night.
Oh, wow, that's going to be it. So I'm going to have to get you on about a week or two before that, okay, girl?
Absolutely. We'll talk to you then. Just you have a good holiday.
All right, sweetie. We'll talk to you soon.
All righty. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. All right, folks. So that was our UFC expert, Shannon, from right here in New Mexico. She has seen almost every single UFC event known to man under the planet, pay-per-view or not. She is amazing, phenomenal. She knows her UFC. But we are going to have to move on. I'm going to go ahead and wrap up with my last take on the UFC and George St Pierre. This is a tribute to him because he is such a phenomenal champion and athlete and professional. What Shannon just talked about at the very end there, when Hendricks says he does not give a shit about George St Pierre, he just wants that belt. If I was George St Pierre, and I hope I invited him to tune in to our little local broadcast, our little YouTube show here in New Mexico to check it out. George, you have nothing to prove to anyone. This is just our opinion and the people around here that are part of our crew, because they all love you, we respect you. You have beat every single person that could possibly, or that you could possibly want to beat, including Hendricks with that split decision just this past weekend. Dana White has thrown you to the curb, kicked you under the bus, treated you like you were trailer trash when you've made the man millions, made his company a success off of your back, off of your blood and sweat and tears. You've been just a consummate professional. You've respected almost every single one of your opponents without totally disrespecting them and talking horrible amount of trash, talking about families and personal things. Never have you done that. And you got this chump in Hendricks, which is totally disrespecting, totally not understanding that he did not whoop you the way he needed to. He did not submit you, and he did definitely knock you out to win that belt. That's on him. That's not on anyone else but him, and he's failing to look at that because he hit you with some heavy blows and feels that he should have won the fight. Boo-hoo-hoo. He didn't win the fight. You did. And Dana White is kissing this guy's butt. Fine. You know what, George St Pierre? Take you in your camp. Go make a living training all these other professionals and all these other champions. And retire the champion. Retire on top. So many guys do not do it. You can look back and look at the history of UFC. They fight beyond their means. And what happens? They have 1, 2, 3 horrible losses with knockouts, and then they decide to hang it up. And the last thing you remember about them is being knocked out. George, you've never had it happen. You've never been beat down the way that you have knocked other people out and beat them. Retire. Screw Dana White. Screw everyone else. You, your family, your camp, your closest friends and family and fans. No one would hold it against you. You've been a champion forever. So with that said, whatever your decision is, as I tweeted you earlier, do what's right for you. Do what's best for you. And everything, all your fans and your family and friends are going to support you because everyone loves you and have you in their hearts. And Dana White, as far as I'm concerned, is a piece of trash. He's totally lost my respect by the way that he's handled this situation and some others in the past. And so I'm done with Dana White. You know, I'll continue watching UFC for the champions. But I have no longer respect for the man for the way he's handled his business and the way he's dealt with George St Pierre on this last fight. So with that said, George St Pierre, good luck to you. We're going to go ahead and move on because we can't stay on UFC forever. Thanks Shannon, our UFC expert, for all her time. But real quick, let's thank our sponsors. We got the Player Zone. That's our huge sponsor, been with us since the beginning. They have all your memorabilia, sports cards, gaming, you name it, they got it when it comes to playing games, whether it be Yu-Gi-Oh, Pokemon, Magic the Gathering. They got all of your accessories, whether it be sleeves, boxes, dice, you name it, they got it. We also got to let you know that they have vintage comic books from Golden Age, Silver Age, and current comics. Get all your gift needs, all your birthday needs, any kind of gift ideas, they can hook you up. 2117 Sudrith, Ruidoso, New Mexico, or you can contact them at 575-257-0559, Player Zone. We also got to thank Seeping Springs RV Park and Campgrounds. They're out there on Highway 70, heading down in the Downs. You can't miss them. They got some cool fishing areas. They got paddle boats. I mean, it's just an amazing place. Right now, until March, you have to contact them, and you can contact them right here at 575-378-4216. Ask for Stacy. She's the owner over there, and they got a great family. We love them to death. I go all the time. Seeping Springs, they are also in conjunction and partnership with all of our other sponsors. Freestyle Jewelry, hook us up with some really cool bling bling for any of you guys that like the big jewelry. This is called rolled gold. It's a new way, a new method of making gold, but with about 60% of the price. It is not gold plated, and it is not electroplate. It is rolled gold. It's amazing. It's beautiful, lasts lifetimes. You can pass it down generation to generation. Again, without the cost. And then Freestyle Productions, making movies and birthday DVDs, bar mitzvahs, weddings. They will hook you up. Again, contact all of these businesses through the Player Zone, 575-257-0559. And again, all of these companies are partnering up together for the No Bully Zone campaign, stopping the bullying in Lincoln County and hopefully spreading it all over the world, because bullying is ridiculous. It is unnecessary, and as of right now, it's a crime. Don't forget, kids, tuning in here, bullying can get you in trouble when all you need to do is have fun, make friends. And of course, the bully campaign is Why Bully Be a Friend. contact us at the Player Zone, or you can write. If you're being bullied and you need someone to talk to, you want someone to come and hang out, if you're in the area, again, write to P.O. Box 1942, Capitan, New Mexico 88316. Post it on there, Player Zone. And if you don't want to be talked about or your name brought on the air, that's fine. Discretion is all up to you. But again, no bully. Everyone is getting together. If you're interested, get hold of Player Zone. Say, hey, I want our sticker, our plaque to put in the window of our shops, homes, or cars. We got to stop it, folks. It makes no sense. Okay, finally, we're going to wrap up with some football, and then we're going to get out of here. Right now, the big topic: Pats Monday night get robbed of a win with that supposedly holding or pass interference call in the end zone. Bull crap, people. The Pats are the biggest babies. They're fans. And I have to say, every single sports figure, every single sports person, whether it be from sports media, sports talk shows, whatever, that spent all morning long crying to all of their fans and all their listeners on boo, Patriots got robbed. Screw you guys. They did not get robbed. That guy could not have caught the ball because there were too many defenders around it. Yes, you could say the ball was catchable if you took away all the 4 defenders from the Panthers. But guess what? You can't. They were there. Their bodies in between him and the football. Give me a freaking break. And even if it was a bad call, so freaking what? Football is about good calls and bad calls. It happens, sometimes it doesn't. Referees across the United States for professional football get 98% of the calls right. 98%. So that gives you 2% that they might make mistakes. Really? Is that something we need to cry about? Just because it's the Patriots, all you whiny sports announcers and sports casters and sports personnel, you guys sound pathetic. Who freaking cares they got a bad call? It happens. Move on. Just like everyone cries when Peyton Manning gets tackled at his ankles and people are up in arms. Oh, that guy should be kicked out of the game and a penalty assessed. Give me a freaking break, people. It's football. I'm getting to a point right now where football media and football news and football personnel that want to kiss everyone's butt make me sick. And I'm on my soapbox right now because I'm getting so tired of football, folks. I mean, we got players crying about headaches and memory loss, but were they crying when they were making $10 million a year? Were they crying when they were making $20 million a year? No, it's when they're done. When they're done being in the limelight. When they're done making that kind of money. Oh, now I got a headache. So I had a headache yesterday. I have memory loss every day because I just hit 40 years old. It happens. We get older. Not everything can be held accountable to football because you have memory loss or a headache. It's called getting old. Get over it, football players. Then we got your NFL and referees changing the game where you don't know where a touchdown is a touchdown. A guy can catch the ball in the end zone, fall down, roll up, and toss the ball down, no touchdown, because he didn't make 2 football plays after he had the ball and got up. But yet a guy can dive over a pylon, the ball slips out his fingers as he hits the pylon, it's a touchdown. What the heck is going on with football, people? And then now we got people crying about the rules. You know what? Give me a freaking break. Peyton Manning, Tom Brady, Drew Brees, those guys are such whiny babies. Oh, they tackled me on my ankles. Watch out, refs. Watch what they're doing. Where else are they supposed to tackle you? Where else are these guys supposed to tackle quarterbacks nowadays? If it's anyone else but those 3, Drew Brees, Peyton Manning, and Tom Brady, guess what? Freaking Big Ben had his nose snapped over here. He actually had to pick his nose like this. His nose was filleted over on his face. Broken nose. So obviously someone hit him in the head. And guess what? Not even a flag thrown. Not even a penalty. No, there was no fines. There were nobody kicked off the suspended because it's Ben Roethlisberger. Guess what Ben Roethlisberger gets from a broken nose from a hit to the head? This is what he gets. Crack! Get back out there and play the rest of the game. And guess what he does? If that would have been Tom Brady, freaking, especially Peyton Manning, they would have created a new rule. They'd have freaking laser gauze, freaking face masks covering their face so they couldn't get hit. They'd have freaking a whole new helmet devised for these guys. And I know I'm getting on a soapbox and I'm ranting and raving, but God, I get so frustrated with football right now. Let these guys play. Guys, stop bitching and crying when they lose. If a call makes you lose the game, then you didn't deserve to win anyway. And I know people say, what if it was the Steelers? It's been the Steelers. Steelers have been robbed, but guess what? We move on and we overcome those. That's all you can do. Bitch and cry all you want. It doesn't change anything. And I don't think the ref should be fined. And I don't think the ref should have to be accountable or explain anything. Because you know what? They look at stuff we cannot see in the game moment. So, with that said, I'm going to get off my soapbox. We'll still watch football regardless, but my gosh, football right now has me in a really bad place with all the rule changes, all the bull crap and all the whiny babies and all the ex-players crying and whining. And it's... Well, folks, we hope you enjoyed the show. This is Jay Real. We will see you on Friday's show. Don't miss it because it's going to be a good one. Peace and much love. Jay Real out.